Claude Code and Cursor are two of the hottest tools for AI-assisted coding, but which one is actually better? I spent some time using both of them to solve a pain point on a real project to help me find out. I had a common bug where I forgot to call await when I called an async function, like sending an email. In server API calls, the server thread ends before the async function is run if you don't await it, leading to pretty serious bugs. I wanted warnings when I built the project, and I also wanted red squiggly lines in the IDE when I made this mistake. This can be fixed with ESLint, and it's typically straightforward to set up, but in my case, it was a little trickier since I have a React via Next.js and React Native via Expo, sharing code via Turborepo, monorepo. This makes configuration trickier. I tried to do it myself with the help of ChatGPT, and after several hours, I gave up. So I went to the Claude Code website to install it. I ran the npm command listed, and then I went to my project in the terminal and typed just the word Claude to get started. Then I ran /init to create the claude.md file. This is a file in your repo that contains information about your project structure and your coding conventions. That gives the model important context for every follow-up task. It's similar to Cursor project rules, but you have to create Cursor project rules yourself. So it's nice that Claude is a command to generate it for you. I was happily impressed that Claude understood that my app was a hybrid React and React Native app with code shared via Turborepo, and it documented it in claude.md. Next up, I actually prompted Claude to solve my issue. I said, in this repo, I've been unable to set up ESLint the way I want. I want to make sure I get those red squiggly lines, especially when I don't await an async function. And it got to work. It searched and grepped my file to figure out where I needed to make the changes. And then it added a bunch of ESLint config. And I was very thrilled to find that Claude one-shotted it. I got the red squiggly lines working just the way I wanted. It even created a test file to verify the issue. Plus, it pointed me to some existing problems in my code base where I was not awaiting async functions. So now I went back to Cursor and I gave it a very similar prompt. I said, hey, when I don't await an async function, please get me a red squiggly line via ESLint. And to my pleasant surprise, it also one-shot it. I guess I was surprised because I had previously tried to do this and it had failed, but I'm guessing I had tried ChatGPT, which isn't as good as coding, and maybe Cursor with an older Claude model, or maybe Cursor's agent has just improved in the last couple updates as they're continually updating. But it does show it can be tough to compare AI coding tools because everything's evolving so fast. You might think the new tool you tried is better, but it's actually just on a more recent model or it's been recently improved, and you're not really comparing apples to apples when comparing these tools. While Cursor can use different models, which should be an advantage, in practice, Claude is the best coding model. So I'm finding that in terms of accomplishing coding tasks, since both Claude Code and Cursor are going to be using the same Claude model, they're about equally effective at accomplishing the tasks. And most of the difference between these two tools is not their effectiveness at accomplishing the task, but the UX around them. Namely, Cursor is an IDE, so it's very IDE-centric and has a lot of cool quality of life features in your IDE. Meanwhile, Claude Code is terminal-based, and you can run it as a standalone script, which enables a lot of use cases that are available to Claude Code that are not available via Cursor, whose agent is more trapped within the IDE. But perhaps the most important takeaway from this video is actually that they're not exclusive at all. You can use both at the same time. In fact, Claude Code has explicit IDE support to integrate with Cursor. So from within Cursor, I can go to View Terminal, and then in that terminal pane, I type in Claude to start Claude Code. I type in /IDE, and you see it offers to hook up with Cursor right within Claude Code's panel. And so then on any given task, you do have to decide to pick whether you want to do it in Claude Code in this terminal pane or open up Cursor's agent and do it within Cursor. But you can pick for any given task which one makes more sense. You could try both. I do think for tasks where you're already in the IDE, Cursor may have a slight advantage because as you can see, Claude will spend a little bit of time searching and grepping for relevant files, whereas in Cursor, you can directly mention those files, which makes the task a little bit faster. And again, if you're already living in the IDE, Cursor has a lot of nice quality of life features like tab to complete. You can write a comment and then describe what the function you want is, hit tab, and the function will just be generated. Claude Code, you'd have to do that from the terminal. It would take a little longer. But of course, if you're doing anything outside the IDE, that's where Claude Code will shine and Cursor will be unable to help you. A classic example might be some sort of scripting, maybe a git pre-commit hook where I tell Claude, fix all linter errors. I can use this -p flag. I will note it will be completely silent unless you add these flags, output format stream JSON. You also need to explicitly set the allowed tools, but it's much more powerful in that sense that all of the programming you might do outside of IDEs, Claude Code can help you. And a classic context in which you would be working outside the IDE would be GitHub, and Claude Code has really tight GitHub integration. It's definitely one of the shining examples of its power. As an example, once you set it up, you can @mention Claude on a GitHub issue and have it generate a pull request based on the issue. That's super cool, and I really want to take a new video to do a deep dive on more Claude Code and GitHub integration features. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If there's one big takeaway, it's that Cursor and Claude Code aren't mutually exclusive at all. You can use them at the same time. Claude Code even has Cursor support. I mistakenly believed they were more mutually exclusive because I see a lot of people on Twitter, Reddit, Hacker News saying, oh, I abandoned Cursor, I just use Claude Code. But even though they're both AI coding tools, Cursor is very IDE-centric, it has the tab complete, it has multi-line editing. Claude is more terminal-based, it has the GitHub integration, it's scriptable. So while they both accomplish coding tasks, they can be used depending on the context and the type of coding task you're trying to accomplish. Cursor and Claude Code both have a ton of cool new features that I want to check out, like background tasks for Cursor and sub-agents for Claude. They're both moving very fast with a lot of new features I'm hoping to review. So please like and subscribe if this content is interesting to you and you want to see more of it. And also, if you want to see the written version of this, check out www.aiengineering.report, also linked in the description. That's my newsletter if you want to get emailed with content about LLMs and AI-assisted coding. Thanks for watching.